Joining us with more, House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan, Fox News contributor Joe Concha. Let's talk about the rhetoric, Jim Jordan. If I said the things that you just heard, what would the narrative on me be if I said it about Democrats, which, by the way, I wouldn't say.
No, of course you wouldn't say that, but the Democrats would go crazy and there'd be all kinds of things said about you then after those statements. But they talked about threats. How about the real threats? The real threat of Iran, who said they want to assassinate President Trump. Iran, who's behind the attacks on our best friend, the state of Israel. Iran, who hacked President Trump's campaign, got a 271-page dossier on vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance that they put together when they were vetting who was going to be the VP, and leaked it to the Harris campaign. And then it winds up in the press. How about that real threat? And we're trying to get answers from the FBI. We haven't got any yet. When did they get it? When did they know about this? Did they give President Trump a defensive briefing? This is Iran, for goodness sake. That's a real threat versus all this talk from the left about President Trump. When President Trump was in office, Iran wasn't behind attacks on Israel. Didn't happen. Russia wasn't in Ukraine. I mean, that is a real threat. And they're going after a president. Makes no sense. I want to know how that got hacked. Because if it had been reversed, Sean, if it would have been, Iran hacks the Harris campaign and gave a 271-page dossier on Tim Walz to the Trump campaign, and it wound up in the press, oh my goodness, there ought to be a special counsel. So that's the real threat, and they can say all they want, but I think the American people see through it all.
Joe, you study the media constantly. You hear the rhetoric, even now, and then you watch this pathetic interview. I'll scroll all the questions that weren't brought up tonight to remind our audience. I go through the list often. Your reaction?
Well, Sean, you're exactly right about that. The rhetoric, remember, after Donald Trump was elected, there was literally in Central Park a rendition of Caesar, except they replaced Caesar with Donald Trump, and then he is shown stabbed to death at the end of that particular play. And we all remember Kathy Griffin holding up a severed head of the likeness of Donald Trump. I can go on, but yeah, this has been going on now for many years, and enough people are going to be triggered by that where they might actually try to take the president's life out. Now, as far as this debate, we saw exactly, this interview tonight, we saw exactly why Stephanie Ruhle was chosen to conduct this interview, if you could even call it that. Not one fact check, neither during or after this interview, just like we saw with the ABC debate. Not one interruption once again. And Kamala Harris sounded, again, like a sophomore trying to get through a minimum time limit, giving an oral book report. There was not one question, Sean, on Joe Biden's mental decline and Kamala Harris's role in the biggest cover-up in political history. Not one question on taxing unrealized capital gains, which every economist says will tank the stock market. Not one question on Kamala, literally on tape, chanting over and over, down, down with deportation, unquote, right before her first run for president. Easy questions asked, Sean. Do you still support shutting down all deportations, Madam Vice President? You once compared ICE agents to the KKK. Why should anyone believe that you're tough on the border now? Hey, Ms. Harris, do sanctuary cities really work? Hey, by the way, you signed a petition that the U.S. government should pay for sex changes for illegals. Is that still the case? Ms. Harris, can men get pregnant? And Kamala Harris, once again, the most scripted, rehearsed candidate you will ever see. During her first answer, within the first sentence, she was already talking about hopes and dreams and aspirations. Within the first 90 seconds, she once again reminded us that she grew up in a middle-class household. In the same answer, she went right back to hopes and dreams and aspirations. During one answer on tax rates, she said no less than 4 times in the same answer that people need to pay their fair share. And when asked why the Teamsters wouldn't endorse her, she didn't answer the question at all. The CPU that is her brain malfunctioned once again. And as we're seeing now with recent polls like Gallup showing they're forecasting a 3-point popular vote victory for Trump, and they're very accurate, Gallup is, in these situations, she's going to have to go with a different approach because this is not going well. And it's definitely not going to play well in the states that matter, like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina.
Jim Jordan, I want to get an update on the weaponization of our Justice Department. Yeah. We expect tomorrow on the January 6 case, which, by the way, we now have 5 people, including General Milley, Acting Defense Secretary Miller, Kash Patel, Mark Meadows, and Donald Trump, all confirming that he authorized National Guard troops prior to January 6th, on January 3rd. But they're going to lay out this case while early voting is going on, 40 days before an election. My understanding is that violates a provision in the DOJ manual. It is obviously political. It is designed to put these allegations in front of the American people before the election with no meaningful chance of rebuttal. And all the media will do is quote it.
Yeah.
Now, is that the DOJ putting cinder blocks on the scale of an election? What a shock.
Yeah, and we had a hearing today where we had the Inspector General for the Justice Department in, and he basically said that under questioning from one of our members, that he believes that there were confidential human sources here on January 6th. We want that report released. Now, he didn't absolutely confirm that, but it sure sounded like that was the case. And that report is not going to come out, based on his testimony today, not going to come out until after the election. That's information we'd like to know now, 41 days before the most important election we have in our country.
Well, the DOJ needs to not do this tomorrow, and there are questions as to the legitimacy of the appointment of the special counsel as determined by the Florida judge, Eileen Cannon. All right, Jim Jordan, thank you. Joe Concha, thank you. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.